Please note, views and opinions expressed in the course of this program do not represent that of OTV. Therefore, this channel is not liable to any legal action that may result from this program.
tó ara ò ní tán lé alára o a tún ti gbé mi ìdè gẹ́gẹ́ bí ìṣe tiwa èyí tí mo wá gbédè yìí ọ̀rọ̀ tó ní ṣe pẹ̀lú ohun tó ń ṣẹlẹ̀ láwọn agbègbè àti láwọn ìpínlẹ̀ kọ̀ọ̀kan ni bó bá ti ya yín àròyé ẹnu tèmi kọ́ lẹ fẹ́ gbọ́ ẹ já lọ gbọ́rọ̀ lẹ́nu àwọn tó ní ìṣẹ̀lẹ̀ yìí bàbá wa padà dé ká tẹ̀síwájú lórí ètò ó ti yá.
Spent 14 years in the University of Ilorin. Oh yes, under the Democratic government, because the university was appealing. Of course, she won at the end of the day. So the point I'm making therefore is that even when you have a decree that provided, nobody can, no court can look at this man's case. Nobody has been detained. Our judges found a way out. Once you can show a material departure from the decree, a court will intervene. It was delayed at the principle. In 1968, was barely a year old on the bench. A lawyer was detained, the lawyer of the Agbekoyas. Agbaje in Ibadan. Majid Agbaje. He was to be detained in Ijebu-Ode prison, police station for 4 days before being taken to the prison. I could have said, I have looked at the detention order. There is no provision for detention in the police station. Therefore, the government has departed from the detention order. The man is hereby released. What would the government do at that time? Was to appeal, not to say, we are not going to release him. The government appealed. In the court of appeal, where you have Kayode Esho, Kester, and Ademola, the governor invited them to the state house. Governor Adebayo, please, can you help me tomorrow? Say in respect of what? Lagos is in trouble. They are saying the West has started again. Say no problem. I think they had the wine, treated them to some wine. No problem. Meet in court tomorrow. Of course, the case was heard that the Court of Appeal upheld the judgment of the lower court and said, in passing, before we conclude this judgment, we must commend the judge for the case was filed on Monday and by Saturday he had given judgment, a period of 6 days. This is how it should be, for the law says so. Today, somebody is detained for 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. The chief judge has not assigned the case. When the case is eventually assigned, to have the case determined is problematic. Sowore here was charged with treasonable felony. For what? For planning to have a protest against the mismanagement of the 2019 election. Since August 2019, this is 2023. The case has not made any progress because we took the first witness, one witness, and after that, the government cannot go on with the case. And what happened in that case? The witness came from the State Security Service to give evidence against you. I will simply ask a few questions. Do you know this man? I know him. Where was he on August 5? The day set for the protest. He said he was in custody. Whose custody? DSS. So that means he did not even take part in the process. Say yes. Okay. This man, Buhari, do you know him? He said yes. Where were you in 1983? He said I was in primary school. But you read that the man staged a coup on that day and overthrew a democratically elected. He said yes, sir. Has he been tried? Has Buhari been tried for treason? He said no. My Lord, that's all for this witness. That was the end of the matter. The government has not been able to go on. The point I'm making therefore is that whereas in those days we got justice in the courts, today human rights activists, journalists who decide to ask questions are locked up and tried under illegal laws. Richard has mentioned section 24 of the Cyber Crimes Act. Richard, do you know how that law came about? We have defeated the state from trying journalists under the sedition provisions of the criminal law. And ditto for criminal libel. So they then said, okay, since we are now in a modern age, a digital age, any document sent, any statement sent through the computer or your phone, and that statement is injurious to a big man, is defamatory, you are charged under that law. Of course, your owner was charged under stalking or something. And unfortunately, they didn't know that the law says before you can accuse somebody of stalking under that section 24, you must have put the person in fear. We then ask them, so how do you say a bloody civilian like Shewore put Buhari in general in fear? We want to have Buhari's statement where he got a complaint that he was put in fear. They quickly withdrew that charge. So that's what is going on. But the point I'm making therefore, ladies and gentlemen, is that if we did all that we did, Richard, many of us will still be languishing in jail by now. We dealt with the military. And I believe that we can deal much more seriously with these visionless politicians that are messing up our country. Amnesty International, I congratulate you for the achievements you have recorded, but I must not fail to also accuse Amnesty International of hypocrisy when it comes to the atrocities perpetrated by Western governments and Israel. As we are gathered here today, two terrorist organizations, Hamas and the Israeli government, two terrorist institutions, have continued to kill unarmed civilians, innocent people. Granted that Hamas does not apologize for its actions, which by the way is also a reaction to those who ignore the PLO, Palestinian Liberation Organization. The West that made a mockery of the struggle of the Palestinians by treating PLO with contempt, gave birth to Hamas. And you cannot defeat a terrorist organization by unleashing violence. No. You must address the crisis that led to the emergence of terrorist organizations. Israel, supported by the United States of America and other Western countries, are persecuting today an agenda to destroy people, including children. Sometimes you cry when you look at the television and you see how children are being killed, mass burial of children. In international law, collective punishment is prohibited under the Geneva Convention. So what Israel is doing today is tantamount to crimes against humanity, genocide, to the ICC. Compare the atrocities perpetrated so far with the crisis in Ukraine. What did Putin, what can you say Putin, what did he do? That the West have ensured that the ICC controlled by them under the arrest of Putin. Nobody has even suggested that Netanyahu will be arrested, talk less of charging him. But amnesty must lead the human rights community, the global human rights community, to demand that justice be done in the case of Israel. Secondly, I also wish to correct a misleading impression created recently by Professor Agboola Gambari. And I'm going to tell this story to confirm the statement made by Richard that in this country, even when there were no laws to aid the struggle for human rights, we made our point. General Olusegun Obasanjo wanted to become the General Secretary of the United Nations. Professor Gambari has just said, you know Gambari, the former chief of staff, and who also led the UN as another secretary. Yes. Recently said that General Obasanjo was not elected the Secretary General of the United Nations because the UN did not want in general as a secretary. With profound respect, that is not what actually happened. The human rights community in Nigeria decided to campaign against General Olusegun Obasanjo based on his terrible human rights record as a military dictator. The CDHR, Committee for the Defense of Human Rights, led by Dr. Ben Konasokuti, produced a leaflet, in fact, pamphlet, and distributed copies to all member states of the United Nations through their pigeonholes in the UN headquarters in New York. I know about that. What happened? CLO and others also wrote, also compiled their own record. You cannot make this man the Secretary General of the United Nations. That would be like rewarding a dictator for violating the rights of his people. Obasanjo it was. Who proscribed the National Union of Nigerians? Nonce. The Gani was charged with stealing his own camera. Because you have mentioned the case of Ali, an inspector of police, who simply asked the general, can we have your papers? He said, how dare you, me? Put him in my car. And the man was taken to a detention center in Otta. There was a detention camp. We took the photograph and circulated it around the world. That was why the candidature of the general was rejected. So it's not correct to say, oh, the guy is a general. No, there are generals and there are generals. And that was how the general lost. Knowing that that was the cause of his loss, General Obasanjo filed a libel suit against the late Dr. Ben Konasokuti and myself. He sued us. I wanted to claim a colossal sum of money for libel. Of course, our lawyer, Dr. Tunji Abayomi was his lawyer. Yes. Our own lawyer, Chief Gani Fawemi, pleaded justification. That we are going to justify every sentence, every paragraph in the pamphlet that the general said was libelous. The day set for the trial, Richard, you must write this. The general was already in the witness box. And I was a rookie lawyer at that time. And Gani said, Femi, this case will not go. I said, what do you mean, sir? I said, just wait. Yes, your name? I said, no, sir. We can't go there. My lord, look at your head. Look at the photograph behind you, sir. That photograph is that of a colonel hanging menacingly on your head, sir. we are not confident that we are going to get justice. The man in the witness box is a general. The man there is a colonel. He takes instructions from him, whether he has retired or not. So this is a military court. We are not comfortable. We cannot get justice here. The judge was shaking. Which one is this one? Of course, General Pastor just had no answer. Because nobody had taken cognizance of the militarization of the Nigerian court. That photograph are drawn all courts in Lagos, High Court, Magistrate, Customary Court. In all other states in the country, the photograph of the governor, military governor, was hung in all the courts. The court said, because there was tension, you could feel it. The judge said the court will rise. Can he say, my lord, the court had better rise? Now, that day, in less than 24 hours, all the photographs of military rulers were removed from our courts and replaced with the coat of arms of our country. Of course, the case was abandoned and it was struck out for want of diligent prosecution. So when that far, so today, let me commend Amnesty and all the human rights groups there for what you have done. Today, Nigeria has one of the best human rights law regimes in the world. On paper. You know something? We have all the laws. Laws that you can't find in America or Britain with respect to human rights enforcement. Richard has mentioned the African Charter on Human and People's Rights. Shoretu mentioned it on socio-economic rights. We have the Anti-Torture Act. We have the Abolition of Criminal Justice Act. We have the Police Establishment Act 2020. We have the law against this rejection of patients by the police. Hospitals without a police report. It's not a criminal offense in Nigeria. If you are tortured as a suspect, the penalty is 25 years imprisonment. No option of fine. So we have gone far. Where are we? What do we do amnesty? And I think that should be the subject of our next meeting. How do we enforce these laws to ensure that the rights of our people are respected? But let me leave you with a challenge. All of us, please, when you leave here, go and locate the nearest chief magistrate in your area. You know what I mean? Go and locate your chief magistrate. Because Section 34 of the Abolition of Criminal Justice Act and Section 70 of the Police Establishment Act have imposed a duty on chief magistrates in Nigeria, at least once a month, to visit every police station, all police stations in their ministerial district. During the visit, listen to this. During the visit, the magistrate can grant bail. The magistrate can order the release of the person, absolutely, or order that the person be taken to court. If that happens every month in our country, if all the 5,000 police stations are visited by a magistrate, today, illegal arrest and detention would have been a thing of the past. Ditto for other detention centers under the same laws. The Chief Judge of the Federal High Court shall designate judges to visit all other detention facilities, be it EFCC, NDLEA, ICPC, and military detention centers. Those judges will perform the same assignments. So, why I'm challenging you, The one of the High Court, the Chief Judge has refused to designate the judges and sued him when caught, seeking to compel the Chief Judge to perform his statutory duty. But for the others, I beg you, today, if you are living in Kenya, go and see the Chief Magistrate. Madam, when else are you going to visit all the police stations in the area? We want to accompany you. I do hope that our media people will want to accompany our magistrates when they are visiting the police stations. One thing that Richard didn't mention is the role of the media in fighting corruption in Nigeria. To stand still in the 70s. You didn't have FCC and SCPC. Are you aware of that? Yes. Only the media was fighting corruption in Nigeria. I'm sure many of you, apart from Richard, one or two people, you will not know if you say, if you tackle me, I double you. Have you heard that before? Yes. If you tackle me, I double you. Dapa was a businessman. Taka was a powerful federal commissioner. In fact, the most powerful, the closest to no one. Dapa went to court, filed an affidavit that this man is corrupt, and gave the details. And at that time, if you could go to court and say this man is corrupt, the media would feast on the story. And until the man was kicked out of the government or he resigned his government, the media would not let him go. And that was what happened. Taka was forced to resign. And so it became, if you tackle me, I double you. The media must go back to that era. Today, apart from Sahara reporters, and I can say this anywhere, no media house in Nigeria is fighting corruption. The latest by Sahara reporters, there's a university in Lagos. I'm sure you have read about it last week, where you buy a degree for 2 million, 2 or 3, because Sahara reporters reported the story a few days ago. One at the school. Some people have already fallen by, others are going to fall. And all of us must take this duty. And if we are committed to having a new country, it is possible. And we must go back home now. I've just challenged you. And some of you are going to ask you if I see you next week. Have you visited your magistrate? Because I also don't want to know the name of your chief magistrate. And that is the only way. That is the only way we can fight for ourselves. Thank you very much.
Freedom come by struggle. Oh yeah, freedom come by struggle. Freedom, revolution.
Ẹ mà káàbọ̀ o gbogbo èèyàn olólùfẹ́ wa nínú ilé tẹ̀ ń gbádùn àwọn ètò wa ó dẹ̀ dá mi lójú pé òyì tẹ́ wò yìí ẹ ti rí kókó gbámúnú ẹ̀ ẹ má jẹ́ kí n ṣe wàhálà jù nítorí pé èmi mọ̀ pé èèyàn ọlọ́gbọ́n olóye gbajúmọ̀ èèyàn lẹ́yìn tẹ̀ wà nílé tẹ̀ ń wo àwọn ètò wa ẹ ṣáà máa bá wa ṣàsọwọ́ bá a ṣe mú wá fún yín lẹ́lẹ́yẹ̀yọ títí wá dìgbà míì táwọn ìjọba àfojúrin lórí ìkànnì Wo TV pẹ̀lú àkọ́tún ètò gbáǹkọ́gbì míì ẹ ti mọ̀ mí kí má wulẹ̀ dárúkọ ara mi mọ́ èmi ń lọ mò ń padà bọ̀ ẹ̀yin náà ẹ má kó lórí ìkànnì Wo TV àmọ́ ẹ má bá mi like ẹ máa share kẹ́dẹ̀ máa subscribe títí wá dìgbà yẹn ń kọ́ ire o.